Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Raul here. We're doing some coverage for the 2025 Sapwi Spring Classic. This is at the Sapwi Disc Golf Course, and for our round 1 feature card, we got Seth Gregory, Gavin Bos, Britt, Noah Jackson, and Brian Vagi. Pretty sweet. We got some higher rated players and then some locals too, so it should be a fun card to watch. And I don't have drone footage, so bear with me for the whole breakdowns, but I'll try my best to explain the hole while we go through it. But hole 1, we got a 294, pretty much hyzer shot. You're gonna see it here in a second.
Yeah, if it's OB, it's OB. I just not a penalty shot.
So Seth is the TD, but he's also playing in the tournament. You see those rocks out there? Those are gonna be OB. So if you don't clear it, or if you roll back in it, you take it from last in. So these guys are just trying to take something overstable, hanging out just over those, and put it close to the basket as it's on that high pin. Seth puts it a little bit left, so that's going to be a scary putt to start the round off. Gavin going with a FD3 overstable, something a little bit faster, allowing him to put it a little wider, a little higher. Trust that he can push that right side and have it swing back. And that's perfect. Pretty much pin high, putting just back up at it, about 10-15 feet or so. Here's Britt, one of the locals on the card. He likes these like Prodigy approach discs, so I want to say that's like an A2 maybe, or even A3. I know he throws the A1, but I'm not sure how many of those approach discs he throws, but it's one of those overstable ones. This guy, Noah Jackson, also local, throws super far. You'll probably see that a couple times today, but just throwing a overstable fairway driver here. Just going super high, trying to spike it on it. Yeah, does that nice. Leaves himself about 15 feet, just slightly downhill, but ends up being a pretty level putt with that high basket. Brian Vagi, player I've never seen before, but I've seen him on the leaderboards. He's 1014 rated, so obviously going to be pretty solid if he got that rating. So excited to see him play today. Looks like he's throwing some straight mid-range and just pushes pretty straight and a little bit long, so he's going to have a maybe 25, 28 footer back up the hill.
Forgot how fun this was. Here we go, baby.
Here we go. Back.
See Seth, do you want to run this? He's definitely running it. Not a bad line, just nose dives it right into the ground. Got Travis here. Nice little 25 footer up the hill to start off the round. Could give you a nice little confidence boost here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, solid putt.
Shit's easy.
Seth for the little comebacker. Just a little bit low on that, but dead center. Gonna have another slight little tester here. And taps it in. Brian for his birdie putt. Surprisingly hits the cage on that one. Gonna be tapping in a little bit of a disappointing par, probably. Here's Noah Jackson. Nervy putt for sure. If you airball this, you're probably taking a double or a bogey, but makes good for it. Nice way to start off his round. Pretty much a tap in here from Gavin. Yep. It's one you want to get, but definitely brings in some nervy putts. Hole 2. This is a par 4. These guys are teeing off from way up there. I'm kind of standing in the middle of the fairway closer to the basket. It's a par 4. We got about 483 feet with OB right from their perspective. So they're really just looking to throw something stable out where I'm standing and land it in the middle of the fairway. You'll see here in a second that left is pretty rough. So you really just want to put something in the middle unless you're really going for it up by the basket. But the goal for most of these guys is probably just throwing something stable. Looks like Travis is playing a little bit more of a flip up and glide. He probably does have the power to get up there. See, he kind of gets up there on a little hyzer. But he should be jump putting or just doing a little pitch up to the basket. Here's Noah. He definitely does have the power to get there. It's just if he hits his line right. Looks like a little bit too much hyzer out of the hand, but he probably does have that shot on hyzer, just maybe a little bit too high, and should be about 50-60 from the basket, but might have a tough little shot. Here's Brian. Not sure how far he throws. Like I said, I've never seen him play before today, but looks to have some good control. And yeah, threw that right in the fairway there. Should be a pretty easy little pitch up. Here's Seth. He does have the power to get there. Let's see if I'm imagining he's going for it, but throws it straight into the bushes. That's gonna be birdie out of question. Might be struggling to save par. Let's see.
At the end of the day, people like to watch that.
Looks like he might be going for like a big forehand. Kind of turnover. Actually throws a forehand roller into a decent spot. He'll have a little backhand hyzer from there. Should be no more than like 180, I bet. So yeah, just throws this zone a little bit long and sits. He's gonna have a putt for the par, but a long one. Maybe just outside the circle or just inside. So Brian's actually gonna be pinched off from this tree right in front of him, kind of blocking him from throwing the hyzer. So looks like he's gonna be trying this little touchy anhyzer line, trying to land it flat by the basket. Looks solid. Just glides out a little bit much. That's a super technical line, just with how sloped the green is. Once it gets pushing down the hill, it's never really gonna want to grab it. Gavin with a massive jump putt, almost looking like it was going to go in. Or it did go in, but it was just behind the basket.
Oh, come on.
Travis also looking like he was giving it a decent bid. Gets a little bit of roll, but should be near tap-in range. Noah also probably trying to find some sort of bid. And looks like he's just laying it up. Looked like it sat up there. Here's Brian's birdie putt. Kind of a weird little anhyzer putt. See if he can give this a decent bid. Hard to give it the height because then it kind of gives it more room to roll or do something funky with this crazy green. So yeah, it looks like he was just honestly pitching up. Seth with a great par putt after missing a few putts on hole 1. That is clutch to keep it to only 1 over for now. Noah about 15 feet or so with a little weird straddle putt. Looks good. Everyone else just tapping in. Gavin for his birdie.
You using that bush too?
Should be Travis for his birdie next. Yep, looks like he's right in the plant there.
Oh, yeah.
Brian tapping in the par. Hole 3, these guys are teeing off from up above. I'm kind of standing below so I can see the discs land, but they're throwing to a basket that's near a ridge on like a left to right slope, and the basket's on the right side. So they need to hang it over the hill on the right hand side and trying to land it near the basket like Gavin does. Also, another good play is throwing a forehand. Looks like Travis just sends it here, but throws a little bit short. He's going to have a nervy little putt with the hill to the right there. This should be Noah throwing something super overstable and slow. I think he might be throwing like a slammer here, just trying to hang it wide and crash it on the basket. Yeah, just not sure what the wind was at that point, but came up a little bit short. Maybe just didn't throw it as hard as he needed to, but I'm sure he can get there with that disc. Here's Brian. Just to be a solid shot, a little bit short on the high side. So gonna have a little bit nervier putt putting out the slope. Here's Seth. Kind of missed his shot there, but ends up turning out pretty good. But I end up doing a terrible zoom job there, but I think it should be about 15 feet from the basket. Here's Travis. From a little bit closer than it looked like, actually. Maybe about 30, 34, 35. Decent bid, just a little high. Here's Noah from a similar position. Looked good, just leaked left. See if Brian can get on the board here. Just pulls it. Gonna have a little bit of comeback left. Yeah, looks like he even slid next to that bush. I thought he hit it and sat, but he slid a little bit more. And a little low on the comebacker. Gonna have to take a bogey. On definitely a hole that you want a birdie. Seth taking a good birdie there. Travis tapping in his par. Gavin tapping in his birdie. Looking like a nice 3-for-3 start. Definitely a pretty scoreable course, but there's some tricky holes out there and some tricky greens too, so you got to be on point with your driving and putting. Hole 4, super uphill hole. It's only 189 feet. However, it is probably playing maybe 250, 270, but you need to throw it high and get really left. So some players will throw fairway drivers, some will throw mid, some will throw even putters. Gavin looked to have thrown a pretty good shot there. Same as Seth, you're really just trying to throw that line in between this tree on the right and that bush. And kind of just a matter of if you roll or if you sit at your spot around circle 1. Travis looking to have thrown a little bit higher. We'll see where that lands. But they're all should be in the relative same area. Noah throwing that slammer again. Super high and super wide. Should also be decent. And that shot also looks solid.
Yeah, that looks good.
Stay up there.
So it looks like Noah actually got a pretty brutal roll. Let's see if he can hit a longer putt than he should have had to. Barely just hits the cage. Super solid bid though. Brian also maybe getting a little bit of roll or just landed a little bit lower on the hill. Also hitting the cage. Both of them relatively fortunate to not have rolled, to be honest. This hard packed and this slope brings a lot of rollaways. Gavin, right to left win. Probably just trying to jam it here. He's close enough. Yeah, there was a good putt. Travis also making a good birdie there. And that must mean Seth is closer. So yeah, Seth tapping in another birdie. Nice. Gonna be getting to under par. Alright, hole 5, first of the island holes. You have to get it in the rocks. If you're outside, it's hazard. It's 249, playing pretty short. You can just throw a chip sidearm or a chip backhand. Really want to lean on something stable and just let it get to the ground. Gavin throwing his straighter zone a little bit too hard and just bounces over that rock. He will have a putt for the par, but it is on a raised basket, so be a little bit nervy. Seth throwing the sidearm line. I think this plays well because you have a lot of room on the left side. Just it's a little bit long. Travis throwing the backhand. I believe this is the A1. Super overstable, gets to the ground. Pretty much a tap and par. And Noah actually going with a splice, which I don't hate because it cuts through the wind and just dives straight down, and it's just super overstable. It doesn't really want to go anywhere if you put it on a bunch of hyzer. So yeah, a bunch of hyzer and boom, just smashes into the ground. Brian, I asked him, and I believe he said this red disc was a classic rock, kind of old champ style, and it's straight to stable mid-range, so pretty sweet disc there. Also gonna be putting for birdie. See if he can make a nice putt here. Good commitment, just hits the band, but it's gonna give him some confidence moving forward. Gavin, kind of a weird position being that it's hazard. Probably has kind of weird footing, but definitely wants to make this after that good start. And a good putt there. If he missed, he's probably going OB. Solid putt there from Noah. If Seth can put another one on the board. Just sails that one barely over the band, but airballs and actually stays in bounds. Kind of fortunate to stay in bounds. And unfortunately hits the band on the comebacker. Good commitment, just stayed up a little bit too long there. Travis tapping in his birdie here. Solid birdie. Seth gonna tap in his bogey. Almost wanted to come out. It like stuck at the top for a second. And Brian for his par here. So hole 6 is a super downhill shot. We got it at 507 feet, but it is very downhill, so the discs glide forever. There is OB left, and it looks like Travis is headed that way. He is going to be OB left of those first rocks. But you really want to throw either something straight that's going to hold it forever, big backhand hyzer, or even a forehand hyzer. But we have a pretty backhand dominant card with us. Noah's going for the big backhand hyzer, something overstable. Gets it out there nice and wide. Kind of lose it for a second, but there it is. Just goes into the trees just to the right of the basket. Should have some sort of look from in there. Gavin also going over stable driver. I think this is his blue Boss. A little more of a direct line, kind of punching down, and skips up to inside the circle. Should be about 30 feet or so. Brian, not sure. I think this is the mid-range he was throwing on hole 1. But it could be a fairway driver, as it goes pretty long. But he'll have some sort of look. Seth, he might be throwing a pig here, but I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. Pretty good shot, actually. Just comes up a little bit short, but he's going to be putting for birdie. Travis, long par luck, but pretty much just a pitch up for the bogey. Pretty far from where he was. Seth, solid C2 look here. Just comes up a little bit short. Brian, trying to get back to even. A little bit short, but a decent bid. You can see Noah in the trees there, trying to find something, trying to make something work. Looks like he has something. Looks like he might have clipped something on the way out, because it looked like a decent bid, but just kind of dropped. Gavin for the solo birdie. Only about 28 feet or so. Taking his time though. Wants to make sure he gets all the birdie looks that he has. And a solid putt there. The rest will tap in for par and Travis's bogey. Hole 7 coming in at only 198. I would guess one of the easiest holes. It is an island, but it's just flat and short. So these guys are just throwing stable putters, probably. Zone, on hyzer, and just letting it crash on the basket. Gavin does it perfect. There used to be a lot more trees, but they burned down in the fires, so they kind of popped these trees up like this, and made do with what they had. So it's pretty cool.
Come on.
Noah throwing the big hyzer, also putting it to probably just outside bullseye, 18 feet or so. Brian Vagi just throwing the nice straight shot at it. That was smooth. Seems to have good control over the disc. Seth going a little bit
Watch out,
inside.
Sorry.
Telling it not to hit that tree, but should be about 15 feet or so. And Travis hitting the cage, rolling backwards.
Oh man, he almost did it.
Bunch of emotions from this guy, but he'll have a birdie putt a little bit longer than he wanted, but still not too far. Gonna have to go down to the knee with this stance.
All
and
that
just
for that.
unfortunate miss there, hitting the cage, but kind of had that weird little stance. Everyone else should be tapping in their birdie. Solid hole there. Alright, this is probably one of my favorite par 3s on the course. It's a super tight turnover. They can't see the basket from the tee, but they're taking like a stable mid and putting it on a bunch of anhyzer, kind of dragging it off the left side of the hill and having it fade back. Gavin throws it absolutely perfect. Noah's going for the spike hyzer here. Just got to put it super high and make sure he clears the trees, because if he doesn't, he's screwed. But looks to have thrown a pretty solid shot. Just crash it by the basket. And yeah, should be up there for a putt. He saw it land there. Brian, I think this is that rock. Little bit of turn out of the hand. And maybe just a little too straight. Gavin threw something a little more stable and kind of let it flex out of it, whereas Brian's just held it the whole time. That's kind of the key there. Seth might be throwing this peg again, I want to say. Bunch of anhyzer out of the hand, but with a stable disc, kind of dragging it down there. Should be up there relatively close. And Travis just steps up and fires his. He throws a putter, but looks to have thrown it perfectly. Should be maybe a little bit long, but right up there. Brian's in this weird little spot in the bushes by the basket, so just trying to get something out there. Looks like he doesn't have much. It's super tight in there. Trying to figure out if he wants to pitch up a forehand or just a little backhand jump putt. Looks like it is a forehand and does pretty solid. Got a little putt left, but should be good for that. See Noah just maybe 38, 40 feet or so. Kind of a scary putt though with the way the hill is sloped behind. If you hit it, you're probably going to get a roll.
Britt blocked it. Ooh.
And just pushes it right, but that kind of is the better side to miss opposed to hitting high left. That high left causes a lot faster rollaways. See if Gavin can keep this hot round going. And a solid putt right in the center. Noah with a little bit of work left. Definitely don't want to take any 3-putt bogeys out here.
Oh boy.
Solid putt there. Seth connects for another birdie. Gonna take him to 2 down. And a good par putt for Brian there. Looks like Travis is gonna be tapping in his birdie. Really well played hole from the card. So this one is straight down the hill. You'll be able to see the basket in a second, but it plays at 277, probably playing closer to 240. They're really trying to swing it low and wide, this backhand hyzer. It's at that brown tree stump down there. I'm going to zoom in a second. Right at that brown tree stump, you can kind of see the yellow flag. They're pretty much aiming for that tree stump. And if they are going right at it, then it's pretty much a good shot. So Gavin leaks a little bit left. Seth leaks a little bit left, but they both should have putts.
There it is.
Travis kind of hitting the pure line there. Should be about 15, 20, just right, putting back up the hill. Noah throwing a good looking shot right at the basket.
That's such a nice shot.
That's kind of a gap right there. Just a slow left fading punchy shot.
Oh yeah.
Brian a little bit high, but kind of gets a good drop and should be pretty close to the basket. So yeah, Gavin, a little short, a little early, kind of got some bushes on his way down, but gonna have a nice uphill jumper at it. Is a super steep green, so if he hits metal, definitely could get a roll away. Pretty common with a lot of the greens out here.
Get up.
Solid looking putt. Like I said, hit metal, get a roll away, but that roll wasn't too bad. Should be only 15 feet or so. Travis with a little bit of a leaky putt. Definitely could have stuck, but just got to jam it a little bit harder if you want it to be a higher percentage. Gavin making good for his par putt. And Seth for another birdie putt. It's a good little comeback there. And there's Brian getting under par. Was a little surprised by his slow start being the rating that he is, but definitely not surprised to see him bring it back. Noah tapping in his birdie as well. So that's 9 holes. We're gonna have Gavin Bos at 7 down, Noah at 5, Travis 4, Seth Gregory 3, and Brian Vagi 1. That is it for the front 9 at the 2025 Sapwi Classic. Please subscribe if you have not already, and we will see you on the back 9.
Yeah.